Hello and welcome to Tortall Sisters, a book club podcast about the works by Tamora Pierce. I'm Marisa.
I'm Mariana.
And we're the Tortall Sisters. And this is the intro. And it's over.
This is the intro.
It's the intro.
It worked. It worked.
First
time.
time.
I said my one thing.
We did the thing.
Yeah.
So, elephant in the room. Haven't seen you guys in over a year.
Has it truly been over a year? Like a year and 3 or 4 months?
Yeah, maybe. Just a little bit. A year and 4 months. Our excuses are we are 30-somethings with lives. And it's really hard. I hate that for us.
Yeah, me too.
Just
It's
like...
not great.
No, hate that. But yeah, we're here. And what book did we read this year, Ariana?
Well, this year for the podcast, we read Trickster's Choice, the first in the Trickster duology. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
There's a second one.
There is a second one. I mean, spoiler alert for the entire thing. If you're somehow a new listener finding this as your first one into this.
Are you telling me Alana she marries who?
Yeah, so obviously there's spoilers for all of the other Tortall, universe books in this book. So if you somehow haven't read any of the others, just be warned that you will be ruined? Spoiled.
You will be ruined.
You'll be ruined.
Books.
But yeah, so let's get started.
I have the actual notes up. I've got my book in hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, let's just jump right into the synopsis then.
Yeah. Because
I feel like we cover everything as it comes, and it's like, who is this person? Well, let us tell you already. So,
let's do it.
So, let's get started. Chapter 1. We have Allie, only daughter of Alana the Lioness, an angsty 16-year-old who wants to be a spy like her George Cooper, and her granda, Sir Miles. I think I just really liked hearing about them, so I decided to name them.
That's valid. Anytime I hear about Sir Miles, I'm pretty happy.
I'm so excited! No one else wants her to be a spy. Let's see, George wants her to marry and run a house. Which really feels like Ned Stark to Arya, and she's like, that's not me. Apparently I only listed what George wants her to do. Allie gets back from visiting her twin, Alan, who is getting his shield. Although apparently he's getting it late.
Yeah.
I don't know why we were taught that. Why were we informed of this?
I don't know. I think it's to kind of excuse why he wasn't there while Kel was there.
Okay,
I think is kind of what it is we're just kind of explaining why he wasn't there while Kel was doing stuff. I guess she would have been a squire. I don't know. That was what I was assuming.
She would have been out and about, doing her squiring of
Yeah.
Anyway.
But I think that's part of it. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
That was just
makes
my
sense
thought.
Then. Because I was just Alan does not appear.
Alan does not appear in this.
Right? Although at least he gets more action than Thom.
Oh, yeah. Yes. As a reminder, we know it's pronounced Tom. We refuse to do it. We will always say Thom.
Guys, I legit worked with a guy whose name was Thom.
And it was pronounced Thom?
It was pronounced Thom. I was
love that.
Holy crap.
I love that.
So anyway, Allie came back from visiting Alan with a word from Sir Miles. If you guys will remember, the end of Kel's books the end of her books her books ended, there we go, with a war starting with Scanra, King Magger, who
was using the souls
of children in machines.
Yeah. That guy.
Just that monster. And let's see. So anyway, so she's brought back notes. Allie's the only one trusted with delivering notes from her granda and decoding letters from her father's spies. Let's see. Word from a spy in Scanra hints that he's in trouble, so George has to leave to get more info. He tells his daughter that he will be back in a day. As luck would have it, or maybe certain divine intervention, Alana shows up because she and her horse are injured. So basically they pass each other. Basically.
Like ships in the night.
Like ships in the night. Oh, it's also of note that Allie has dyed her copper hair blue because it's what the girls in the Capitol are doing. It's of note, of course, because immediately Alana, like any written mother, goes, "Your beautiful hair."
I mean, like, okay, while yes, but she does have beautiful copper hair, and anytime anyone who has, like, naturally red hair dyes their hair, everyone around them is like, why would you do that?
But Alana, of all people, should understand. She's a redhead.
She should. Yeah. She's also, okay, I'm gonna say it, Alana becomes a huge bitch.
She's a bit of a bitch.
She's a huge bitch.
She, in all fairness, she is in the midst of a war, so I can get her being a little, and she showed up with herself hurt and her horse hurt, and she had, sister, they made her take a boat back, or a ferry back.
I know, but that is not the only, like, the fact that in this part of her life, Alana wants her daughter to not be in dangerous situations is such a hypocritical thing.
She wants her daughter to not be in dangerous situations, but she also hates that her daughter didn't get her shield. It's like, Alana.
Yeah.
Bro.
It just, I don't know. There's just something so irritating to me about the fact that Alana went through all of that to then try to enforce more gender roles onto her daughter. Like,
right.
I don't know. To me, out of character, but I'm not the author, I guess. So
as I say in the notes for a lot of like first, second wave feminist bullshit.
Yes.
Yes. So anyway, they immediately start butting heads because they're both very similar. Yes. They're very similar, and
she's her mother's daughter.
Poor Allie keeps finding herself more and more like Alana throughout this entire book.
Oh yeah.
But Alana thinks she can fix Allie, which is super not problematic, and set her on the right path, instead of the path Allie wants. Like, remember the path your dad laid out for you, Alana? Rather than deal with that, Allie decides to take a sail on her own. She's just like, I'm gonna go sail my boat. What?
As you do.
The daughter of George and Alana, people.
Yeah.
So she reasons that her parents would appreciate some alone time, like, for sure.
So, she's just gonna take her ship down the coast.
I maintain that she may have had some divine influence.
I agree.
You know? So anyway, so she gets kidnapped by slavers, of course, like, nigh immediately. And, being her parents' daughter, she immediately is like, okay, I have plans. I'm going to stay safe and escape. But it does require biding her time. This, of course, requires her to get her nose broken, so she won't be bought as a, quote, bed warmer. They put it in such, like, just gentle terms, this entire book.
Yeah.
Before the chapter ends, Allie is given a dream vision of her folks. Alana is concerned for her daughter, but both she and George know she can take care of herself. Also, Allie is positive this dream is a gift from a god. But which one?
Yeah, which one indeed? So, chapter 2. Allie is bought by the Ballatang house in the capital city of the Copper Isles, Rajmoit. Is that how you said it?
Rajmoit? Yes.
Rajmoit.
I have a lot of very definitive pronunciations,
so
anytime anyone wants to know.
Yes, I have a lot of, like, exactly how I read these things.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, the Copper Isles, as you may remember from their princess in Alana's books, who literally killed Faithful, the cat, and then attacked Alana with an axe, and then Alana killed her, as she should have. Yeah. So, yeah, the Copper Isles, who everyone's like, wow, all their royalty are crazy. It's because of inbreeding and colonialism, just as an aside. So, yeah, that place. So, her nose-breaking strategy worked, so she literally got thrown in for free with another slave purchase. But also, it's like, did it actually work? But there was some help along the way, but, whatever. But now we get to learn about the caste system in a new country, because what world is not complete without us creating racism?
What's world building without racism?
Yeah. So as you might imagine, it's fucked up because of colonialism. The Luaran are the white people, the colonizers who came from the continent. And, you know...
So, we're in, like,
it's like the Philippines, honestly.
Yeah, okay, that's probably better.
Well, it's more like...
Indonesia.
Yeah, let's say Indonesia, definitely.
Let's say somewhere in the subcontinent.
Yeah. So the Luaran are the white people. The Raka are the native people of the islands who got put into slavery or killed during the invasion hundreds of years ago. The full-blood Raka are obviously at the bottom of the system, just like in most caste systems. The whiter you look, the better they treat you, as we can see in many parts of the world in real life.
Yay!
So yeah, that is when we talk about Luaran and Raka. The Luaran are the white colonizers. The Raka are the people of the islands.
Also, I may just call the Luaran the white folks.
Yeah,
There's a definitive chance that that's going to happen.
Definitely.
Raka, I'm more likely to say Raka.
Yeah, the Raka and the Luaran, the white people.
The whiteys.
The whiteys. So the head cook for the Balatangs is, how did you say her name? I said Chanel.
Chanel. I went very Indian with a lot of the pronunciation because
that's where your brain was.
That's where my brain was.
Yeah. So Chanel. I don't say these words out loud, so in my brain it was Chanel. That's how I was saying it. She's a full-blood Raka, and I love her so much, I would die for her.
Yes.
The other staff members of note are Ulasim, the head footman. I called him Lokay, or did you use the J? Lokay?
I did use the G.
Lokage. Okay. Lokage, the chief hostler, and obviously Chenol, they're all of them full-blooded Raka. And then the Duke's man-at-arms is Viren, who is Luaran. The Balatang household is a unique one because it's mixed. The Duke, Mequen, is full Luaran and is the descendant of the Luaran ruling house, the Ridivans. They come into play. So
do we have any connection with the Ridivans in there?
I don't know. His first wife, Sarugani, was of Raka nobility, and they had 2 daughters together, Sarai, and Dovasari, Dove. I called her Dove.
Dove.
Yeah, Dove. His first wife died in a horse riding accident, much like every time I think about it is Gone with the Wind.
Yep.
Yeah, it's exactly. The Duke's second wife, Winamine, is full Luaran, and was his first wife's best friend. They have 2 kids, Petran and Elsrin, and who we talk about much later. They are more important in the next book. They are forgotten in the second half of this book. They are present for the first half, and then they go to their child area, and nobody. Yeah, because they're 3 and 4, or 4 and 5. One of those.
They're little.
They're itties. They're little. Allie is so intrigued by the family, but she's like, I won't find out more because I'm definitely escaping. But one night, the prince, Bronau, another, arrives super late and tells Allie to get the Duke and Duchess because he has important royal news to tell them. Next day, we learn that the king, who is very crazy due to lots of inbreeding, has King Oren, by the way.
King Oren the Mad.
So they have names. I sometimes use their names. I sometimes do not. So I'll at least...
Sometimes I call him the Mad King.
Yeah, so, pretty much. He's decided that the Duke is no longer loyal to him, so the family is being banished to their estates out in the boonies, and they're going to have to get rid of most of their slaves because of costs. For Allie! Next day, a slave matcher comes to go over all of the slaves they're getting rid of, and Allie, who apparently has the sight, like her dad, as a reminder, in this world there are 2 types of magic. There's the gift, which is what Alana has, and then there's the sight, which is what George has, which is and he has really powerful sight, and apparently Allie has a really, really powerful sight, because she's a bit of a Mary Sue, but that's okay, we love her anyway.
Because she's got the Cooper blood, and she's got the Trebond blood.
Yes, exactly. So, and there's lots of gods involved as well.
Mm-hmm. So many gods.
Yes. So the slave matcher comes to go over the slaves. Allie is being assessed when the matcher gets possessed by a god, Kiprioth, the trickster. Though the Balatangs think they're talking to Mithros. So Kiprioth is the sibling of the other gods. He was the patron saint, he was the god of the Copper Isles before the white people came.
White people.
Yeah, before the white people came. And when they came over, Mithros and the goddess fought with Kiprioth over owning the islands, and they won because the white people won, and he was banished, so he's technically only god of the seas now in the Copper Isles. However, he, Mithros and the goddess are currently engaged in a war with Scanra, so he's like, this might be time to do something about that. Kiprioth is apparently George's patron god, because of course he is, because he's a trickster.
Of course.
And he offers Allie a bargain. She keeps the Balatang children alive all summer, and he'll send her home. Allie accepts as long as he promises to convince George she should be a spy. So that she says, okay, fine, I'll take the wager if you convince my da. Convince da, and I'll do it. This is like her. She's like,
if anyone could convince him, it's gonna be you. You're his patron god. He's like, you don't know my relationship with your father.
No. No. It's funny.
So good. Anyway, Chapter 3. The Balatangs are seen off by Bronau, who whispers a bit of treason regarding the king's mental state. I don't remember what the exact line was, but it's something
along
definitely
the lines of he won't last long or something.
Yeah, it's very and I pronounce it Winamine just because I figure she's white coming in, but we'll pronounce it Winamine and Winamine.
I also just call her Winnie sometimes.
Winna.
And Winna. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, she's like, oh, okay, we could have our heads taken off for you saying that, okay? So let's not do that.
Let's kind of stop with the treason right now. It's kind of putting a bummer.
Ariana notes say, throughout this chapter, we get the impression the king is mercurial, paranoid, and ruthless. Great qualities in a leader, as Russian history has shown.
Indeed.
Allie is in charge of the youngest children from the second marriage, Petren and
I did not make it clear that the Balatangs, Kiprioth was talking to them as Mithros and saying that they needed to take Allie with them. Because she will protect them, and she's his messenger. Yes. So they think she's working for Mithros, just as an aside. Yeah. I apologize.
They think she's working for Mithros. Did you happen to say that
she's to keep the children alive?
No, not that part. No, yes. Okay, so, no, anyway.
Whatever it was, it hasn't happened yet.
So yeah, Allie's in charge of the children. As they leave, storm wings are seen circling, meaning something big is about to go down. Allie wonders what interest a great god would have in the Balatangs, given that they are quiet and keep to themselves. What huge event could center around them? Elstrin and Petren, miserable to be at sea and have their entire world uprooted. They don't even get their known nanny anymore. Demand that Allie tell them a story. But a new story, not the same old ones that their old nanny would always tell, because they don't miss her that much, apparently. They're like, don't tell us the ones she'd tell us new ones. Be better.
Yeah.
So Allie starts telling the children about a beautiful queen, Theet, obviously, and how she hated the howler monkeys in the royal menagerie going off in the night while she was trying to sleep. Being Theet, she would go to her balcony with her bow and arrow. Since she slept naked, the peeping toms, and I spelled it Thoms, of Tortall would purposefully rouse them so that they could see the most beautiful woman in the kingdom naked. And I'm just like, what? Why is this the story?
Insane story that you are telling these children.
She concludes that George figured out who was doing it and took care of the problem by making them pay for a howler exhibit which wouldn't disturb the sleeping queen. But I still question the reasoning behind telling that story.
Small children, yeah.
The children love it for some reason. They're like, tell us more! And then it turns out that the elder Balatang girls, which Sarai is 16 and Dove is 12, they had also been listening. Dove realizes Allie must be from Tortall based on her accent and knowledge, because she's speaking Kipperish with them, but she's got a very faint accent. They can hear it. But of course, she's Allie, so she speaks it pretty well. Oh yeah, Dove is smart and quiet, while her sister Sarai is boisterous and quick-tempered. Allie lies and says she was a maid in Tortall, so they ask her for stories about the Lioness. Allie realizes she'll need to speak about her mother as if she were a stranger. So the kids talk about Alana as someone who is great but will someday be beaten. This brings the subject of her mother's mortality to the front of her mind, and Allie regrets the last conversation they had. It's like, yeah, man, your mom's always fighting in wars. How is her mortality just occurring to you?
Because she's the Lioness. Nothing can happen to the Lioness.
It's the Lioness.
Obviously.
As they continue the ride down the strait, Allie begins to notice Raqqa people along the cliffs and jungles nearby coming to watch the ships passing. She is informed that this isn't something they normally do because they usually prefer to remain hidden when Luaran ships are about. Despite being told this, she honestly wonders if it's because the Duke is of the Ridovin line and therefore technically in line to be king should a lot of bad things happen. But why would they care about Luaran nobility? Dove and Sarai appear beside Allie and explain that they are half Raqqa and that their mother was of old Raqqa blood from before the Luaran came and conquered. The girls speak of King Orin's paranoia, and Allie warns them not to speak that way. They inform her they know she won't betray them, because any slaves and servants of traitorous family are also killed.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
It's fine. We learn that Sarai and Dove are strangers to both worlds because Luaran don't want to mix with Raqqa, and the Raqqa are nervous about their Ridovin blood, which, honestly, the Ridovins, I can understand. They're weird. Despite Sarai being insanely beautiful, their parents have had a hard time making a marriage for her, and Dove often gets forgotten in the shadows, but this means she hears more than people think. Allie susses out that the Raqqa are coming out to see the older Balatang children. This makes their stepmother, Winamine, nervous, so she advises they go below deck. But they, teen as heck, are basically like, you're not a real mom, we don't have to listen to you. But Allie cons them into thinking she's a scared maid who doesn't want anything scary to happen, so they go down below deck. This, like most things in this book, does not go unnoticed by Winamine. So later, Allie is down with the servants and slaves when she finds out more about Sarugani and the respect she still has among the Raqqa. This respect has transferred to her daughters. We learn that the Raqqa are matrilineal, so basically they feel like the girls have been robbed of their inheritance of the land and the blood and all of it. And then we learn more about the royal family and their trouble and their heir trouble. King Orin is getting on in years and his health is on decline. His heir is his son from his first marriage, Hazarin, who is kind of frivolous and gluttonous. Next would be Hazarin's half-sister Imogen, but since, she doesn't have a penis, she couldn't possibly rule, which the Raqqa find laughable. They don't think that that's where ruling comes from. It doesn't come from your member. But then next in line for the throne, after Hazarin, is the king's youngest son, Donovan, who is 3 years old, the same age as the youngest Balatang. So there you go. It's a really, really info-heavy chapter, guys.
It really is.
It's almost over, I promise. Chinail talks about Sarugani since she worked for the late Duchess's family and came with her to the capital when she married Mequin. Which I spelled Mequin wrong, but that's fine. This
Google
means
doesn't care.
Right. This means she also knew Winamine when she was a girl, because Winamine and Sarugani were best friends, close as sisters. They was besties. I don't know. I get the feel. Anyway, Allie can tell there are some things she's not being told because the Raqqa don't want to expose too much to a Luaran, which, fair.
Yeah.
On to Chapter 4.
Chapter 4. The party arrives at Tenair Castle, their new home on the island of Lombin.
Yeah. Lombin.
Lombin. There's lots of just words that I will be saying, and you don't really have to remember a lot of them. But they're going to be said. As the ship pulls into harbor, the air is filled with winged horses, the Kudurang, which are sacred to the Raqqa and a sign of the Raqqa royal house. Just normal things to see and not conspicuous at all when you have 2 girls of noble Raqqa blood on your ship.
Totally.
We learn about the areas around Tenair, including a village called Pohan, where they hate the Luaran, understandable and correct, so much that they kill every person with even a drop of Luaran blood in them. Chenol lets slip that the people in Pohan might change their minds when they have a chance to meet our ladies. Curiouser and curiouser. On the wagon ride to Tenair from the harbor, a several days long trip, the Raqqa once again line up to watch the party travel like they did on the water. Allie thinks that it's because of Sarai and Dove, but she doesn't know for sure. Really? What gives you that idea? I don't know. When one of the horses picks up a stone in her hoof, the wagons stop, and Allie gets out of the wagon she's been sharing with her charges. She notices that it's far too quiet in the jungle, no animal sounds or anything. Allie tells the second-in-command to Viren, Fescow, another full-blooded Raka, about what she notices, but she acts dumb about it, as if, so no one she doesn't make anyone suspicious. She's like, I don't know, I might be just a poor person, but, this is weird to me. She tries. Fescow brings her to Viren and the Duke and is like, even this idiot knows something is wrong. Can I go scout it out now? Which they let him do. Surprise, surprise, it's bandits. Allie suggests the Duke's men could take them from behind while the wagon party could defend from within, catching robbers between them, which they do, and it works. When the adults in charge resign themselves to having to kill the robbers they took captive, Sarai begs them not to. Dove suggests that they give them the option to die, become slaves, or become loyal servants. When this is questioned, Dove suggests that they make the ones who choose service to swear in their blood so that they can't double-cross without dying in a very terrible way. Allie is impressed by this. Bottom of page 94 for Dove moment. Thankfully, past Risa remembered to actually add thingies.
Little tabs.
Awkwardly, he leaned forward to touch his forehead to Sarai's shoe. You are as gracious as you are beautiful, he whispered. Allie bit her tongue. It was Dove who had truly found a way to keep these men alive. She glanced at Dove, who met her eyes and shrugged. She's prettier, the younger girl murmured, as she passed Allie on her way back to the wagon. Everyone always goes to her first.
It's upsetting.
Yeah. When they arrive at the castle a few days later, Allie is like, they only have one tower? Even Pirate Swoop has 3. Allie notes that the villagers inside of the palisade look well cared for, so it raises her opinion of the Balatane family a little bit more. She's like, wow, they're not terrible people over all of their subjects. Okay.
Okay, that's fine, I guess. Chapter 5. Okay, we're going to read exactly what Arianis wrote. Before I get into the story, Ulisum, head footman, notes that he is from the area, but not from Tenair. He's from Pohan, which surprises Allie since Chanael told her the people there don't like the Luaran and wouldn't approve of working for them. He doesn't say much, but we get the feeling he might have some tension with his family. I wonder if that's going to play out in any way, shape, or form.
I don't know. I wonder if that has something to do with something later in the book. I don't know.
Allie gets the younger children settled in and goes to speak with the Duke and Duchess. I didn't seem to notate it, but one of my favorite moments from that is she tries to hand something to one of the younger children, and they're like, this is slave work. I'm not doing that. And she's like, oh, well, I mean, I guess we'll just leave your toys up. Looks like it's gonna rain. I hope they don't get ruined. And, it is Petran who does it. Because then Elstrin picks up his toys. He's like, I'm carrying mine in. It's just like, oh, you cutie babies. And then, Petran brings her stuff as well. Anyway. So Allie's team is settled in and goes to speak with the Duke and the Duchess. She sweeps the area to make sure they aren't overheard, kind of showing her hand because what maid is going to be this thorough? Mechlin and Winnemine tell Allie that they plan to free her and hire her as a servant instead, because they can't in good conscience keep a slave collar on the great god's messenger. Allie declines and explains that a slave collar allows her to go unseen half the time. It also gives her more room to endear herself to the Raka, since she is also considered below the free Luaran, which is fucked that the free Raka are so fucking low on the totem that they can relate to slaves.
Yeah.
Mechlin suggests that instead she be their messenger slave in the evenings when everyone is in the castle, so they have a reason to speak with her privately and send for her. Which, shows he's got a brain for this, so thank God he's gonna be around. Allie requests that she also be given the duty of goat herder. This gives her something physical during the day. It also gives her time to walk the grounds and get the lay of the land, which reminds me of Kel's map making, which is one of my favorite parts of Kel. The free Okay, I put, okay, because that's a typo. Sorry, I was like, what was I saying here? So the free servants are revolted to find that they are going to have to sleep in the main hall with the slaves. But that just kind of goes by the wayside fairly quickly. Like, they make a big deal out of it, and then everybody just kind of settles down. That night, Allie finds herself in a dream space with crows. Kiprioth shows up and tells Allie that the crows will be helping her. They will be her winged spies, so she will spend her sleep time learning to speak crow. Allie learns to speak crow, you guys.
It's fantastic.
He tells her that the crows will teach her and help because he has a side bet going on with the crows about which he will not tell Allie. One of the crows, named Nawat, takes particular interest in inspecting her. She notices he has a mark of magecraft on him. Kiprioth explains that Nawat is curious, even for a crow, so he got himself in some trouble.
Yeah.
Oh, I love him.
You know, Nawat's kind of, he's kind of special.
He's a special case, this one. The next day, Allie goes out to tend the goats for the first time, and she summons Kiprioth for a private conversation. She tells him she needs some things, a mage, and more information. He tells her a mage will notice her since she has magic herself, and that the less she knows, the better. She admits that she doesn't think she can keep the children safe, or at least that there are better choices for the protector role. Kiprioth tells her that she is remarkable, marked by destiny at birth, and that she is his choice, the Trickster's choice. Oh.
Title drop.
Snap. Nawat shows up during her lunch and gives her some crow tutoring. He's the only one that shows up, though. He just seems to have taken a liking to her. That night, Allie, under the guise of delivering messages for her masters, investigates some quarters. As she goes through the soldiers' quarters, she finds letters which indicate that Varen is a spy for King Orin. She decides to keep that bit of information to herself for the time being. She heads back to the castle and stumbles upon Chnail Fescow.
Yep.
Sorry, my dyslexic brain kept changing it to Fisago the entire time, so it leaked into my typing of the notes. So she stumbles upon Chnail, Fescow, Ulison, and Locage sitting around a table in the stables. A table in the stables.
A table in the stable.
Allie suddenly realizes that the 4 heads of household are all Raka. Allie asks what's going on, and they play coy. So basically, it's all of them playing coy with each other. So it's like, guys, calm down.
Coy off.
Right. Locage gives her a charming smile and is like, surely old friends may sit and talk when their work is done. They play off the importance of people lining the streets and staring as the family arrived. And then we get my favorite quote. Curiosity killed the cat, Fescow remarked, his dark eyes unreadable. Allie rolled her eyes. Why did everyone say that to her? People always forget the rest of the saying, she complained. And satisfaction brought it back. She looked at the picture of Eric, which is a thing. So if you... Anyway, doesn't matter. The point is, satisfaction brought it back, bitches. Allie is set upon by the Ballatang children, all 4 of them, for a story. Allie uses this as leverage to get more information about Kiprioth. Dove and Sarai tell her that Kiprioth was once a great god of the old Raka pantheon and god of the seas, and supposedly he played one too many tricks and was removed from his throne by Mithros and the great goddess. Dove adds that some Raka believe he will someday return to his throne. Sarai has never heard this, and Dove reiterates that people often forget she's there. Sarai never lets anyone forget she's around. Not important, but that night, Allie tells Noah a story about Dane. Later, Allie dreams of Alana. King Jonathan comes to see Alana on the front line of the war with Scanra, and Jonathan accidentally spills the beans that they still haven't found / heard from Allie. Alana just figured she just missed Allie's return before she left. So now she's freaking out, and she is like, my husband didn't tell me this. Kiprioth says that he knew Allie would think Alana wasn't worried about... Kiprioth says he knew Allie would think that Alana wasn't worried, but this vision proves Alana is terrified for her only daughter. Something she shouldn't have to wonder. And my notes say, and I'm agreeing, I'm dangerously close to thinking Alana is a bad mother.
I already said it. Alana is not, she's not great in this,
Like,
I don't
guys.
know. I don't know what made her become the person she is in these sequels, but I don't like her.
Having children like herself?
Yeah. Chapter 6. While Allie is out with her goats, the crow Nawat visits her and steals her food. Over the next week or so, she continues her crow lessons in her dreams and then practices during the day when the crows report to her what they had seen. Nawat is the only crow who doesn't make fun of her for her accent. Allie also familiarizes herself with the people of the village, which kind of weirds them out. One day, Sarai and Dove ride out to where she is letting her goats graze and have lunch with her. Dove calls Allie out for not sounding like a maid, and she has to be like, oh, all commoners have to get educated in Tortall. It's the law. Which, like, is true, but also...
no.
You know. Nawat steals some of Sarai's jeweled hairpins and gives them to Allie once the girls leave, and it's very cute. He preens her stubble, and I love it. And then page 137 for Allie almost blowing her cover again. All of you come... Okay, so the door to the keep opened to frame the Duke, flanked by his Duchess and Ulasim. This is ridiculous, he said. All of you come into the hall. We'll all eat together from now on. The servants won't like that, Locage murmured in Allie's ear. She looked at the old hostler. They'll learn to live with it, I suppose, she replied. Somebody told me that's how it used to be done in older castles. The household ate and slept all together. It's only been the last 2 centuries that nobles took quarters in their own. Servants had a separate hall to sleep in. Locage gripped the back of Allie's neck with a friendly hand. A word of advice? Slaves aren't so knowledgeable about history, he murmured. Not Raka slaves, not Luaran slaves, unless you've been specially educated and sold as a tutor. Are you a tutor? Allie smiled. That's so sweet, she replied. My doll always said my brains were too big for my head. Ma'am.
She doesn't... Locage is not fooled by a single thing Allie does or says.
Yes. No, absolutely not. That night, Nawat doesn't come to crow lessons, and Allie is like, aw. He also stops coming to see her during the day, and she's just like,
Where's my friend?
My crow friend, where'd he go? Sarai and Dove start coming to see her every day and ask Allie to keep telling them stories of Tortall. 2 weeks after they arrived at Taner, a strange young man comes to see Allie, to see her with her goats, and Allie's like, who are you? And he's like, hi, Allie. It's Nawat, but in human form. Apparently all crows can shapeshift into humans, but they think humans are stupid and are like, who the fuck would want to do that? Nawat is very cute in the scene. I love him. He's actually cute in the entire book.
He's always cute. There is no part in which he is not absolutely adorable.
Yeah. He shows Allie a bag of feathers from, like, mythical creatures, and he says he can make arrows, which two-leggers like, and he can be her friend. Please understand that almost everything Nawat says can be accompanied by a smiley face emoji. Like, not even the emoji, just, like, colon parentheses. Like, that's just everything he does, is just that. Allie gets him a job as a Fletcher, and everyone thinks he's very handsome, which doesn't make Allie jealous at all. Nope, not one bit.
It's like, you just knew him as a bird, Allie. Calm down.
Like,
but now he's a handsome young man.
Now he's a handsome young man, Ariana. Come on. Okay, your turn.
Chapter 7.
Yeah, chapter 6 was short.
Right? Oh, man. Mine goes on for a while. Okay. Chapter 7. 3 weeks after the Balatangs arrive in Taner, the crows alert Allie to a group of soldiers approaching. Allie is concerned enough to let it kind of slip to Sarai that she understands the crows, which they don't question nearly as much as they should.
Everyone just kind of lets that slide. They're like, yeah, okay, whatever.
So Allie understands the crows. It's fine. We understand and accept this about her. She's our Allie, and we love her. It turns out to be Prince Bronau coming for a visit. Allie is summoned to the Duke and Duchess's. Yep.
The Duchess?
The Duchess? The Duke and Duchess's quarters, and told she is being promoted to wine bearer, and Winnemine is sending her to start by waiting on the Duke and Bronau while they chat. Allie lets Winnemine know she doesn't have to be able to hear them to eavesdrop since she can read lips, which Winnemine finds very useful. Winnemine
and doesn't really question it. She just doesn't. Okay, like, I'll take that.
You have some very good things that I can use. I appreciate you. You are useful. But not in a mean way. I see your value.
Yeah. The god chose well.
Says that a lot. Winnemine confesses that she is terrified that King Oren might turn on them. Apparently, he dreamed of his son Hannerin turning into a rat to bite him. So Oren had his son and all of his son's household nailed to crosses.
As you do.
Yeah. She knows how brash Bronow is and is worried he will act without thinking and get them all killed. When Winna leaves, Allie sees the blur of Dove's gown and realizes the girl was listening outside the door. She will frequently see a blur of orange, and it's always Dove's gown. Allie attends to the men, and as suspected, Mequin asks Allie to stand out of earshot. Bronow tells Mequin that the king's madness grows. He had an advisor he worked with for 18 years hanged because he had bad thoughts. He has all of his food tested for poison and refuses to leave his room. Bronow says Oren started getting suspicious of him. He also says he almost suspected his brother and his wife were encouraging this paranoia. Brownow's brother, who is married to Imogen, who is the only daughter,
the one who doesn't get to be queen.
Yeah. The one who doesn't get to be queen,
Despite being incredibly well suited for it as...
So anyway, Bronow thinks that they're encouraging Oren to, suspect people. Mequin, a good friend of Bronow's brother, Rubinian, Rubinian, not
Rubinian.
Rubinian.
That's how I was saying it.
That works for me. Dismisses that idea as ridiculous. He's probably right, but he seems to dismiss any possibility that makes him uncomfortable, which we'll see a lot more of later in the book. It's like, God damn it, Mequin, you were so... You do so well, and then you do so poorly, too. Winna tells Bronow that a bath is waiting for him, and Allie discusses the happenings with the Duke and the Duchess. Out of the corner of her eye, Allie sees that same blur before and knows Dove was eavesdropping again. Allie leaves to tend to her goats before she has to clean up for serving wine at dinner. She sees Nawat working without his crowd of female admirers, which, again, don't bother her, of course.
Obviously.
Nawat immediately sees she is bothered, though, and though she says it's excitement. He knows she's concerned about Bronow being a danger. Page 159 and 160, Ariana said. Okay, here we go. Nawat didn't even look up from his painstaking task of setting a goose feather in its bed. Your feathers are ruffled, he said. Well, it's very exciting, having visitors and all, she said, looking at the new arrivals. You act like a flock when a snake crawls by, the crowman pointed out. If that is excitement, it is not the good kind. Do you wish to mob them, to drive them away? I couldn't even if I wanted to, she informed him, smiling. For all his human guise, he was still very much a crow. Impulsively, she asked, Did you get a look at him? The prince? The one with the fox-colored hair? He came to see me work. Nawat looked up at Allie and grinned, white teeth flashing against his tanned skin. I did it badly. It's like, haha, I tricked him. Honestly, he does some of the most crow things in his human state.
I know. I love it.
What do you make of him? Allie wanted to know. Or did you not have time to get a sense of him? I do not need time. I know a hawk when I see one. A hawk? She repeated, thinking he had recognized Bronow's hunter bird look. A hawk. Nawat said firmly, his eyes on his work once more. He will drive you off your own kill and steal your nestlings. He should be mobbed before he steals any of yours. Shall you and I mob him? And I love him. I love him so much.
Yeah.
So Bronow is boisterous at dinner and gives the Balatangs gifts. He gives beautiful earrings and a lot of attention to Sarai, which does not escape anyone's notice. He's an extremely obvious individual.
And it's gross, because he's like 30 and she's 16 or 17.
Yeah. She's 16.
Yeah, so
16.
No, it's gross. It's really gross.
It's gross. And I don't remember when we find this out or anything like that, but friggin' he was courting Winamine before she decided to marry Mequin.
Yeah, it's really gross.
He courted her stepmother.
Yeah.
Anyway, Allie goes to chat with Chanail and tries to casually call Sarai and Dove Duchess Sarogani's heirs. Chanail starts to play it off, but has a knife drawn on Allie very quickly. Kiprioth intervenes, and it becomes clear Chanail has had dealings with the god in the past. She is, shocker, someone who is working toward the same end as the Trickster. She agrees to bring Allie in, but she has to bring it up with the other leaders first. I wonder who those might be. That
knows?
That night, Dove and Sarai come to see Allie when it's too hot for them in their parents' room because everybody had to be moved around to make room for Bronow and his
whole company.
Yeah. Allie says she isn't up for telling stories, and they say they can tell her a story if she wants. She asks to hear about their mother. Sarai gives a romanticized version of her memory, then turns it on Allie, asking about her own mother. Allie comes up with a lie about her mother being a player who, as in an actor, who left after she was born. This makes the girls feel bad, which Allie hopes will deter any further questions about her sad, fake life.
Indeed. 8. Chapter 8. Nuat and his crows offer to run Bronow off, and when Allie says that would put the children in danger, Nuat instead offers to kill them. Which I love that.
Bronow's people, not the children.
Yeah. While out with her goats, Allie summons Kiprioth so that they can have a conversation. Allie asks the god if he means to start a war, and he's like, "Why do you care? You'll be gone by autumn, right?" She's like, "Yes, of course I will. I just wanted to make sure you were going to keep up with your end of the bargain, obviously." And then he storms off. Because gods storm off a lot in this universe.
Because they can. Because they can do the best, most dramatic storm offs.
He is the most dramatic god there ever was, and I love him for that.
Yeah.
We'll
talk about Kiprioth afterwards.
It's true. Still out with her goats, Allie sees the nobles all out riding together and sees Bronow obviously has his eye on Sarai, who is happy for the attention. Allie is not pleased. Ulasim, Lokage, and Chenol show up to discuss things with Allie. Only Fescow is missing from the conspirators. So Allie tells them that Viren is the king's spy, and they decide to put one of their people on watching him. Allie tells them about Kiprioth's little act to the Balatangs, about who she's really serving, and they're like, yeah, that sounds like him. There's a meeting of the conspirators with Allie later, and eventually Nuat. They talk strategy, and once again, they all do not believe Allie when she says that her family are just merchants. That night during dinner, Allie breaks into the prince's rooms. She uncovers 2 royal spies and his servants, and that his 2 manservants are spies for Rubinyan. In Bronow's personal chamber, she finds evidence that he is in a lot of debt, and from the sound of the letters he wrote to his creditors, will definitely be able to repay them within a year. That's sus. She also finds a letter from Bronow to one of his brother's men, being like, "Hey, I think we should try to oust Rubinyan from his current position." Just things a smart person would put into writing. Yeah. After dinner, Allie meets with the Balatangs. The adults let Sarai join, and with her sight, capital S, Allie spots Dove hiding to eavesdrop. So with all 4 present, she tells them what she uncovered. None of them are happy, least of all Sarai.
She's really enjoying that attention.
Yeah.
Chapter 9, because mine are long, apparently, and I don't understand why.
Mine get longer, too, but I also cut out a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
because I was like, I'm not doing this.
It's a very wordy book. It's not it's not super long, but
it's not even a long read. I would really, it took very little, but, it's
so thick with story and details that you're gonna need to know.
Yeah.
Allie arms herself with the knives Chanel set out for her, which she did request at that meeting.
They were like, "What do you need?" And she's like, "Weapons." Yeah. And Chanel is like, "Okay, gotcha."
Let's see. And Chanel's great niece and nephew, Vizda and Ekit, show up and tell her that they are to tend Vizda's sheep along with Allie, Allie's goats, so they can take her herd if she is called away. Nuat shows up to the field and presents Allie with a grub for her to eat. She declines, and he tells her it is hard to mate feed someone who won't eat, which is news to her. She did not know that they were mating. Yep. He also tells her that the Raka warriors in the village have begun patrolling like she wanted. Bronow goes out riding with Mequin, Dove, and Sarai. Sarai seems to no longer be upset about Bronow possibly just wanting a rich wife for his debts. Allie decides that she should practice with her knives, but gets interrupted by the arrival of a tall Raka woman. This is Junai, Ulasim's daughter, and she has been assigned by her father to guard Allie. Allie asks if Junai knows who she if Junai is or knows of any mages around. I said 2:05. Okay, here we go. Allie looked at the older woman. She was in her middle 20s, Allie guessed, and she decided to try a theory she had in mind. I don't suppose you know of any mages we might recruit? Junai took a step back. What makes you believe there is a mage here, Luarin, or that I would know of such one? Allie leaned against the tree and thrust her hands in her breeches pockets. My gracious, why ever would I think such a thing? She asked, batting her eyes as she clasped her hands under her chin. Well, let's see. We're attacked by bandits just on the other side of the mountains. We brought some with us. Did you know? They're sweet. And anyway, the point is, she's realized... I know why I put that note. She's realized, basically, that, there's a lot of rough stuff out on the road, but somehow it manages to stay away from Pohan. As though there's maybe a powerful mage protecting the village. It's so weird. So Junai admits that there is a mage in Pohan, and that mage hates the Warren and will not work with them. Returning from her ride, Dove shows up to bring Allie some lunch that isn't the bread and cheese she's been eating. Allie admits she can't divulge much of her purpose to Dove, but the younger girl offers to help her in any way she can. She's like, I can tell you're doing important things, and I want to be a part of it. Just love Dove. Allie asks if she could rustle up some local maps, and Dove says she can manage that, because she likes maps, and I'm like, I like you! I like maps. Dove sees
we all like maps around here.
Right. She'd hang out in a graveyard with us.
It's true.
Dove sees exactly what Winna sees in Brunau, that he is brash and could be the death of them, but puts it more shrewd and in cutting words. Let's see. Things proceed. Allie takes on more jobs. Junai sticks close to Allie. Brunau continues to flirt with Sarai. Allie and the four elder Balatangs convene in the evening and, go over everything. One night, Allie is told that she's going to join the family to see the nearby villages, including Pohan. Brunau wants to see the villages, and Dove knows Allie wants to know more about the surrounding area. Nawat comes with them, and Junai follows in the shadows. Nawat, everybody else is on horses, but Nawat is running alongside the horses.
Yep.
Normal things.
Normal things.
But anyway, so Brunau is, unsurprisingly, a fucking embarrassment in front of the local Raka.
Yep.
Dove is actually the one who redirects him in a very subtle way. Everybody else is just like, what are you doing, man? Allie excuses herself to snoop around, but she finds herself in a bad alley with Raka, who are not too happy to see a Luarin sniffing around.
Especially since she fucking tries to disguise herself.
She tries to disguise herself, and then she also,
Or, no, wait, am I going, I think I'm going too far.
No, she does wear,
okay.
She wears, she gets all masked up and stuff. She gets into a fight and is kind of holding her own. She is George and Alana's daughter, after all. But she is rescued anyway by Junai and Nawat. Allie and Dove ride on, No, she tells that later to someone else, so I think I did have that note. Yes. Okay, Allie and Dove ride together on their way back, watching Sarai and Brunau flirting. She thinks her sister is falling in love with him anyway. Suddenly, Allie asks about the royal line, and she realizes what Brunau wants. After Hazarin and Donovan, Mequin would be next in line for the crown. This would make Sarai the royal princess. Allie reminds the girl that Brunau's brother married into the royal family, so maybe he was hoping to do the same thing. Bum, bum, bum! That night, Allie is confronted by Ulasim for ditching Junai. Allie notes that she saw several weapons caches and many new horses, which seem to imply some sort of impending rebellion that were, stashed not so covertly all around Pohan. But she admits she was looking for the mage of Pohan. Ulasim informs Allie that Junai is working on getting the mage to work with Allie. He also admits that the mage is Junai's grandmother. His mother. What? His mother, Ochobu, disowned him when...
That's how I said
Ochobu?
it. Ochobu.
See, again, I'm going with the more Indian, Ochobu. but that's just me, disowned him when his father was dying, and he was too afraid of leaving Sarai and Dove to come visit. Which is rough, because that couldn't have been an easy decision for him. But hey, what do I know? Bad mothers. Ulisum asks Allie not to ask the god for help. Allie says she knows better than he not to ask gods for help, since you don't know what they might do. Yeah. That night, she dreams of Tortall. She sees her parents and many of their friends in a forest on midsummer. How do we know it's midsummer? Because the Green Lady and Werin, Dane's parents, are there, and this is the only day that is allowed. Dane and Umair hold their child in a hammock where the little shit won't stop shape-shifting. The Green Lady tells her grandchild to stop changing and giving their parents such a hard time. She tells them they can change all they want when they're older, but for now, they need to be human. She says they need to wait until they're at least 5 or so, so they can be used to one body before trying out others. The 6-week-old baby listens to their grandmother and changes to the form of a human baby girl. For now. We have to note, the Green Lady is definitely having a two-sided argument, but we only hear her side of it.
Yep.
So Sarah is arguing with the baby. After the ritual of assigning the god's parents, George and Alana have a talk about their own daughter. This is the first they have seen of one another since Alana found out George was keeping Allie's status from her. Allie's twin, Alan, can't find Allie magically, but knows she isn't in any trouble or pain, and she isn't scared. George asks if the great goddess can help, and Alana admits she's been praying, but hasn't heard from her patron. Weird.
Indeed. Chapter 10. This chapter is named Assassins, so let's all take a wild guess as to what's going to happen. Who knows? While out with the goats, the crows alert Allie to strangers. She looks and sees a familiar merchant caravan. However, there are 5 strangers with them. Allie knows... Oh, by the way, she uses her sight like binoculars and can just, zoom in, enhance.
Her sight's apparently even better than George's.
Yes.
Because the Trabond, energy.
Intensifier. So she knows that they're killers from their appearance. Judgy much? Allie breaks the news to her conspirators at the castle and they make a plan of action. Allie says they also have to guard Bronau, sadly. They all decide to not tell the Balatangs until after dinner so they don't accidentally alert the assassins that their presence is known. After dinner, they gathered all of their people to be protected into the study opposite the Duke and Duchess's room and they wait for the assassins to hit. After a fight, 4 of 5 assassins are killed, with the one woman of the party missing. They all go into the room where the fighting took place, and they're ambushed by the final assassin. Sarai had been holding one of the attacker's swords and was closer to the assassin than any of the others, so she struck the woman down and then slit her throat for good measure before fainting. After this, Winamine agrees to... I
just love that image of just this, because we get the description, her hair, which is normally, all up and everything, out and flowing, and she's just covered in this woman's blood. And it's just fierce warrior queen, and then and I love it. I love it so much. It's so real and so fucking good.
It is. After this, Winamine agrees to let Sarai continue sword lessons because she had made her stop sword lessons, and once she married MacLeod, I guess, because it wasn't ladylike.
Yeah,
so she wasn't allowed to do
once
sword.
they hit a certain age. She was like, look, we need to be marrying you off, and you're already Raqqa, so they already think you're dangerous.
Yeah. So she agrees to let Sarai continue sword lessons and for Dove to start with archery. The group present convince Bronau to leave before they discuss it all in detail. They all come to the conclusion that these were royal assassins. One of the killers was only incapacitated, not killed. Allie decides they need to question him with truth drops since torture doesn't work. Good girl. She's like, torture doesn't get you the truth. Right. Which, yeah. However, when they go to use the truth drops on him, he is killed with the silencing spell that had been placed on him. Allie has a temper tantrum about being sloppy, understandable behavior from a 16-year-old noble girl, to be honest. After all of the hullabaloo, Mequin calls Allie to his study and asks a lot of very smart questions, such as, why were all of our defenders our servants, not Viren's men? Why was it that, other than Allie, every defender was full-blood Raqqa? How was it that Allie was able to tell these people were assassins? Allie basically says, don't worry your pretty little head about it, page 259. Mickwin drummed his fingers on his legs. We would be dead tonight were it not for you people of our household, he said at last. Be sure I will not forget it. His gaze hardened. Any of it, Allie. She scratched her head. You know, Your Grace, this will go so much easier for everyone if you accept the gods' gifts without question, she reminded him. Take it from me. You'll just give yourself a headache this way. The end.
So much of their relationship is very uncle niece.
Yeah,
in which he's like, come on, Allie, please.
Come on, kid.
I promised your mother that I'd keep you out of trouble. Come on, Nance. Chapter 11. The next day.
Bankruptcy. Sorry.
Not Chapter 11 bankruptcy just yet. He's trying to marry first.
Sorry.
The next day, Sarai resumes her sword training and Winna begins hers, which is absolutely adorable and I love it. Later, Allie sees Bronau whisper something to Sarai and she nods. This, obviously, it's like, there's some conspirating going on here. Conspirating.
Yep. Not conspiring.
No, conspirating. There we go. After a distraction at dinner, Sarai tries to sneak off and Allie follows. Sarai is met by Bronau, who abruptly starts macking on her and talking about marrying her, despite not bringing this up to Mecwin. Bronau proves to be cheesy and unimaginative with his courting, the usual, I can't control myself around you, blah, disgusting. Anyway, eventually, Bronau returns to the rest of the castle. Dove comes out of the shadows to reveal she was watching, and Sarai guesses that Allie was also spying on her. She's like, yeah, I figured you guys were here. She's like, Dove is like, that was really sloppy of you to meet with him alone. She's like, I was not alone. I definitely had a
chaperone.
A chaperone, right, Allie? She's like, aw, shucks. Comes down from her hiding place. And they just hang out like girls, and I love it. Dove and Allie
just hanging out.
They do, honestly.
Allie gets to actually have, like, female friends her own age, which is not something any of the other
right? The three of them honestly make these books. I love them.
Yeah.
Here we go. Dove and Allie both caution Sarai against her letting her guard down. All three girls note that Bronau didn't mention his insane debt when he was basically saying, I'm going to marry you, Sarai. Like, he didn't outright, say it, but he said it. After Dove and Allie fully torment Sarai, Nawat alerts Allie to his presence by... so they've all gone their separate ways, and Allie's alone, and Nawat's, in a tree and goes, hey, what's up? And he's basically asking, what were Sarai and Bronau doing? And, she explains kissing to him, but he seems to just be asking to prompt her because he, immediately kisses her and she loses her senses and talks like an idiot, and I do kind of love it.
It's really kind of cute.
It is adorable. The Raka are also aware of Bronau's pursuit of their queen, and they don't like it, but Allie assures them Sarai is smart enough to see through him. Kiprioth appears and takes Allie on an astral trip to the capital, where...
when these things happen, I start calling her Astral Allie. So she's
works.
Just Astral Allie. So continue.
Where she sees the elderly and insane king, Orin, there we go, I lost his name, on his deathbed. The trickster jumps into the king for a moment to give a deathbed prophecy about a new leader and reaping the fields of invaders. But the trickster refuses to reveal anything to Allie, but has her be the witness to the death of Orin and the proclamation of the Hazarin as the new king. Later, Allie tells the Balatangs of the king's death, which puts Mecwin one step closer to the line for the throne. This brings them to the topic of Bronau. Sarai says he asked her to marry him and nothing more, but Winamine advises that she be more wary. She may not have much money, but her connection to the throne makes her a prize bride, especially for a man in debt to everyone, everywhere. Sarai seems reluctant to heed her stepmother's advice, so Mequin throws in the fact that Bronow has been fucking the maid Pembury, who is one of Winamine's main maids, the entire time he's been there. And this enrages Sarai, who runs from the room like a true teen girl. She's like, I hate you! And runs off. Dove is surprised since she didn't think Sarai was truly in love with him. Winamine tells her that that's just Sarai's pride and not truly love. Yeah. She's like, no, it's fine. She just doesn't like the idea that he's two-timing her, which is reasonable. Soon, news of Oren's death and Hazaren's coronation arrives, and Bronow starts packing up to leave. He has another clandestine meeting with Sarai, who is still a little sore with him, wherein he assures her that he will marry her, and this distance is only so he can establish some footing in the capital before he officially proposes. After he kisses her and leaves, Sarai waits expectantly for Allie and admits that she only met with him because she knew Allie, her favorite cockblock, was watching. She would like to marry him, but admits that Mequin and Winna being suspicious does make her wary of him. She perks up and says she'll just flirt with and kiss Nawat now that Bronow is gone. And Allie totally isn't upset, but she thinks she should warn the Crow Man not to take it seriously lest she break his heart. Not that Allie cares. Again, she doesn't. Like, at all.
No, definitely not.
No.
Okay. After Allie watches Bronow and his men leave, Ulasim and Junai arrive to whisk her away to Pohan to meet the mage. Nawat decides he's coming with, despite the fact that the mage, Ochabu, is the one who cursed him. When they arrive, the tiny winged horses who live outside Ochabu's house attack Nawat. Allie tries to get them to stop attacking him, but then they just attack her as well, much to the amusement of Junai and Ulasim, and Ochabu. It's slapstick. It's actually hilarious, because it's like, she then is trying to, one clings onto her ear, then she, jumps into water to get them to all let go of her, but then every time she surfaces, they come back. It's hilarious. Okay. Allie tries to go George on the mage, but to be honest, there is more Alana in there than Allie might like to admit. She kind of puts her noble on, to be honest. But not gonna lie, this part hits the whole white savior thing too strong. With Ochabu being like, our god would pick a Luarin to be his messenger, which, I don't know, it's off.
She's like, oh yeah, no, of course, he's gonna put someone who's fucking, No, this trickster-ass motherfucker, even when he's trying to be on our side, he's not actually helping our side, because he's putting someone in as his messenger who isn't even one of us.
I know.
He's just throwing forks in the goddamn garbage disposal and saying...
in the garbage disposal.
Ding, 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 ding.
Kibrioth, in crow form, basically tells Ochabu to get over it and that there's work to be done by The Chain, a network of Raka mages led by Ochabu. After having words with Kibrioth in her cottage, Ochabu leaves with Allie and the rest back to Tenair. On the journey, Allie assesses Ochabu's gift with her sight. Both of those are capitalized, gift and sight.
Gift and sight.
Capital G, capital S, and sees plants, healing, weather, charms, and scrying. Ochabu feels this and tells her to stop because it tickles. With Ochabu replacing Rihani as the main mage in Tenair, Rihani is set to take care of the two smaller children so that Pembury can be Winna and Sarai's maid, which means Allie gets a promotion to Dove's maid and is able to move around freely wherever Dove goes.
It also means that Sarai is going to have as her maid the woman that she knows has been fucking her presumed betrothed.
Yeah.
Just gonna put that out there. They definitely did that on purpose to her.
Yeah. And then Ochabu meets with the Balatangs and is as polite as she gets with Luarin. She shows respect to the ladies and agrees to help the family as she did when the first Duchess was still alive.
Whoa. Chapter 13. Guys, we're almost done. We're almost there.
There's 16 chapters.
Allie, the ladies, and their personal escorts go for a ride during which Allie and Dove bond. Basically, Dove has that young lady thing where people mistake reserve for being cold. But Allie sees Dove for who she is, stating that she is observant and keeps her emotions in check. She isn't cold and uncaring. She cares very much, but doesn't show her cards. And Dove compares herself to Allie, and they have a nice little moment. And again, I just love them. They make the books.
Yeah.
Allie
also,
goes to...
Dove, I'm sorry, high-key autistic coded.
High-key autistic coded.
She likes her maps. She's got all the... She's so, like, blunt with it. I love her. I love her. My baby. Okay,
basically,
sorry.
I remember when Reese and I were reading this, like, when it was my first time reading it, and I was just like, we're just like, oh, Dove is so good!
Yep. Okay, sorry, continue.
Allie goes to speak with Ochobu. They just kind of antagonize one another. Like, Ochobu starts talking about Kiprioth, assuring her that Allie is a temporary irritation. And Allie talks like she assumes Ochobu wants the Raka to slaughter all Luaran. Like, this scene is such an uncomfortable nightmare of two intelligent women being kind of racist.
Yeah.
Anyway. Nawat also gets a couple little moments during, because this next little bit, like, is a span of time. So anyway, he gets a couple little moments. First, Allie finds out that Nawat invented a new game where the men-at-arms shoot arrows and throw javelins and spears at Nawat, and he snatches them out of the air, which scared the shit out of Allie when she first saw it, because she was watching and Dove and Winna were holding the arrows for the men-at-arms, and she's like, well, surely Winna isn't going to let a murder just happen. Oh my god, they're shooting! So, anyway, Allie is clearly very weak in the knees after seeing this, which, valid. Next, Nawat is all doting over Allie, and she's trying to keep some distance, and she ends up sounding like she's jealous, asking who Nawat's been kissing.
I wonder why that would make her sound jealous.
She's like, yeah, so have you been practicing kissing with other girls? Oh my god. She just, like, is immediately like, why did I say that? He promises he wouldn't kiss anyone else because he only wants to kiss her. She reminds him that she won't be here forever, and he swears he will go with her. He will go where she goes. His place, he says, is with her. Nawat has also been busy with his fletching and making awesome arrows. Some have obsidian tips, and some have stormwing feathers for fletching. Allie worries Nawat is putting himself in danger, but he isn't concerned. Nawat assures Allie that these arrows are important for killing mages. Nawat tries to give her the mage killers, but she tells him to keep them until they are needed. Besides, her archery skills aren't great. He tells her she could practice, but she reminds him that she is a slave and can't do that. He tells her, then do not be a slave. Fly free.
Then just don't be a slave.
Then don't be one. You're just agreeing to it. You don't have to. Letters arrive from Fairweather friends who wouldn't be seen communicating with the banished family when Oren was alive. So Sarai is barely containing her anger with these people. Meanwhile, Dove and Winna are like, oh, and even Winamine can't hide the sarcastic smile from her face, and she goes, oh, it's so nice of them to worry so. Gifts from Bronau also arrive. Sarai receives some jewelry, and Mequin broaches the topic that Bronau is courting her. Sarai acts flippantly, stating that any husband she has will be faithful to her alone, and Bronau will not do that. She then tells her father that she would never do anything without his support, and adds the same for Winamine, which melts her stepmother's heart. She's like, oh, my babies! Sarai, being Sarai, takes to greeting groups of Raka who have come to see their Raka ladies. They have just come from everywhere to see them, and everyone's like, this is not good. This is getting attention. And when Allie has reservations, Kiprioth audibly butts in, proclaiming, let them greet Sarayu and Dovasari and return to speak of them in their home villages with hope. Allie remains concerned, but Fescow agrees with the Trickster that the Raka kind of need hope right now. Speaking of hope, let's check on Tortall. We get to see Alana sword fighting with someone we know to be fellow Lady Knight Caladri, but Allie has never met her and has to figure it out.
Caladri. You said
Caladri. Yeah, I did. But anyway, it's nice to see her. She's doing great. We don't get a lot from her, but she's enjoying fighting Alana. We also get to see all these people that we love are alive and well. For instance, Raoul married Burry relatively recently, apparently, a year less than. Neil is there. He calls Alana an old lady, which distracts her for Kel to... She's like, you were my squire. He's like, that's why I get to do this. Anyway, which gives Kel room to mount an attack, but that attack fails. So Alana scolds Kel for ignoring her sword fighting skills and beats her protege. Taka, we remember Taka, right, you guys? The nursemaid like basilisk who slithered his way into our hearts. Shows up with news from the crown about winding down the war. He also confirms to Alana that George has figured out where Allie is. Allie awakens with the happy feeling that her father is on the way, and also the hope that he will let her finish what she started here.
Chapter 14. In her sleep, Kipriath once again shows Allie what's going on in Rajmat. This time, he shows her Hazarin dying of maybe a stroke. What is apoplexy? I'm looking it up right now.
It's between a stroke and an aneurysm, kinda.
Yeah.
I think that's how I describe it.
The rupture of an internal organ and the associated symptoms. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well...
Basically, he didn't treat his organs well at all, so this is not a surprise.
Yeah, so as far as I was like, it's just it's basically just an aneurysm, okay. Whatever, he dead. After astral projecting Astral Allie warns the healer to get out of the country so she isn't to blame for the death, after all of the servants already fled, because they're like, what if he was poisoned? We gotta get out of here before they come back. Allie returns to Hazarin's bedroom and meets his ghost, who is very happy to no longer be king.
I don't care that I'm dead. I don't have to be king anymore. Do you have any idea how great this is?
It's like, I'm out of that. Hazarin, before being taken by the Black God, tells Allie that he made Donovan, small child, 3 years old, his heir, with his sister Imogen as his regent. Bad choice, my dude. Astral Allie sticks around in the capital with Kipriath until after Donovan's coronation. They, play chess. He
just summons a chessboard, you want to play? She's like, yeah, I guess.
And after all, she's like, take me back home. I'm done being here. He's like, no, there's more for you to see. And she's like, no. He's like, okay, fine. So he, makes her unconscious and then brings her back as Astral Allie again. It's a thing.
What happened?
She hears, while she's down, that they're, trying to wake her up. And Ochabu's like, no, I can't do anything here. And Nawat's like, she's okay. But then she watches as Bronau tries to kidnap the little king. After Bronau gets away, Kipriath and Astral Allie are confronted by Mithros and the goddess about what they're doing there. Allie saves his ass by covering for him, while being very careful to not lie, because the goddess can tell if people are lying, and she remembers that, so she very, very picks all of her word choices very specifically. Yes. And is basically like, well, he's my father's patron god, and I just wanted to know what was going on here, so he was allowing me to come and see what was going on in the capital, so that, I can understand all of these things for my father, and for that, I'm working for the Balatangs right now, and I just want to, and they're like, okay, sure, fine.
And the goddess is like, I fucking dealt with your mother for years. I am not letting
Yeah, exactly. And then Allie successfully puts the great gods off their trail. Kipriath offers to cancel their wager as a way to repay her. I can just send you home. And she's like, no, because I want you to still talk to my da. I still want you to talk to my da. So no, you're not getting out of that. I want to be a spy. So I'm staying. It's like, Allie, you fucking idiot. You're being played. He knows that's what you want.
No!
But she's not a pawn.
Allie is she's clever, but she's not as clever as she thinks she is.
No, she's really not. She's 16. She has downfalls of being a 16-year-old girl.
Hey, we knew George when he was 16, and he was.
That's true. With the knowledge
king of the thieves.
It's true. With the knowledge of Hazarin's passing and Bronau's insanity, Allie returns to her body.
Chapter 15.
We're almost there.
We're almost there, you guys. Allie finds that she has been on her astral journey for 5 days, during which Ochobu was watching over her and Nawat stood by helplessly. Nawat says he is very angry with Kipriath for keeping Allie for so long. I almost said Kel.
Kel.
Jesus.
You're like, I wish we were talking about Kel right now.
I wish we were talking about Kel. Allie tells the family what she saw, and everyone is very concerned. Allie spends the next few weeks on high alert, just waiting for something to happen. Everyone is as prepared as they can be, so a lot of people tell Allie she is worrying too much. Like, literally everyone tells her this in some way, shape, or form.
She's like, bitch.
Or as Nawat calls her, Allie, protector of all. Okay, a couple weeks later, a letter comes from the capital. It is Rubenian, writes the Balatangs of Hazaren's death, Donovan's coronation, and Bernau's attempt to abduct the little king. He warns them that he thinks Bernau will come to them for help and asks that they advise that he return to the capital and face a trial. He mentions also that he is working on reversing their banishment and hopes to have them home by Midwinter Festival. Allie mentally notes that Rubenian is basically the king, so how hard does he have to work to bring them out of banishment? But whatever. Allie advises that the servants be warned that the next visit from Bernau will be very different. Initially, the Balatangs are resistant, but they follow the advice of their messenger from the gods. It helps that the Trickster makes her glow to drive the whole chosen by the gods thing home. After more waiting and prepping, crows alert Allie and Nawat to the arrival of Bernau and his party. He acts like everything is normal. The Duke and Duchess invite him to speak in their quarters, and they ask Allie to tend the wine. As she is getting ready to serve, Allie also speaks to her Raka advisors. Locage tells her that he recognizes none of Bernau's party, neither human nor horse, from his last visit, so it seems like they might be sellswords. In the Duke and Duchess's quarters, Bernau pleads his case to the Balatangs. He insists he was worried Donovan would be murdered by Imogen, as he believes she killed Hazarin. Which also, by the way, Hazarin's ghost knew that his sister was trying to kill him.
And it was so sad.
He was like, yeah, she was trying to kill me, but she's not going to try to kill me anymore. He was a real glass half full kind of guy.
Glass a little too full kind of guy.
Oh!
He drank a lot.
When he can't get Mequin to doubt Rubenian, he tries to get Winnemine on his side. When Winnemine insists he stand trial, Bernau turns to Sarai, and he's like, do you think of me as a criminal? She's like, oh, I could never think of you like that. She says she's worried for his life and implies that their future together may be in trouble if he doesn't return to the capital. And Allie's like, oh, she played that very nicely.
She's like, I'm impressed.
All right, okay. Finally, Mequin says he will accompany Bernau to stand trial, insisting Rubenian will listen to him and they will be okay. After Bernau retires, Allie asks if the Duke should maybe make Bernau swear an oath to the gods that he will not misbehave during this time. Mequin is upset by this interjection, and he puts his noble on, dismissing her after saying that she isn't nobility and she doesn't understand. Ochofu had mentioned earlier that after Bernau's arrival, that Mequin was blind to what his family and the other royals are capable of. Mequin tells Allie that his friend Rubenian would never allow his arrest in the capital, and he could never insult Bernau by asking him for a vow. Ochobu is right. Mequin may be smart, but he is blinded by the honor of nobility.
Okay. You guys ready for the last chapter?
Hoo doggy.
Okay. The next day, the family carries on with Bernau as if his visit is merely a friendly one. They go hunting with him, have him at dinner, play chess, but Allie is not convinced. That night, as the Balatangs are sleeping with Allie in their room, someone tries to break into the room. Allie, unable to hold the door, is smashed against the wall when it breaks open, and she has various things broken that time. It's Bernau, clad in chainmail and sword at the ready, with three men with him. Bernau kills Mequin's manservant, and after Allie traps herself beneath the body of one of Bernau's men, whose throat she slits, Bernau stabs Mequin in the stomach, downing the man. Bernau tries to convince Sarai to go with him to lead a revolt and be his queen, but Allie grabs onto him and tries to slit his throat, but slips. Thankfully, Dove is able to shoot him with a griffin-fletched arrow that Nawat gave to her earlier that day. Allie runs off while badly injured to find Ochobu to try and save the Duke and is met by Bernau's hired warriors wreaking chaos in the hall. At that moment, Nawat arrives with 30 recently made human crows, and they turn the tide on the battle.
They clean house.
They do. The battle's over, basically, after that. Sadly, even though Ochibu makes it to attend to Mekwin, she is unable to save him. He was never going to be able to be saved. He was basically dead. But, Allie goes into shock because she has several things broken, all of that jazz. It's fine. Who among us has not gone into shock? Because I sure have. Especially it gets to the part of, it's my least favorite part, the nausea. And I'm like, God, don't I know it? That is the worst part. And then you just throw up and it's so unpleasant. You're sweating. I hate that. The death toll is real. Lots and lots of named deaths.
Lots of named deaths. It's like,
lots of named deaths.
Allie really gets to know all of the servants. Why? Yes. So that it hurts when they die.
Yeah, so Viren dies. Everyone is like, okay, well, it no longer matters that he was a royal spy, because he still, fought by their side and died protecting them.
To be fair, they did at some point...
I just didn't mention it.
They did confront him about it, and he was like, I have not written in a very long time, because I realize I can't do it.
Yeah.
So...
But Viren dies, Lokage dies, Mekwin's manservant, 5 men-at-arms, Mekwin, obviously, Vizda's father. Those are the main ones who die. So, obviously, the worst one to hit is Lokage. So, very sad.
Yeah. Upset me. I legit forgot he died. I was like, oh, shit, right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think Ulasim is, hurt really badly. Or is it Fescow? One of those two. I don't remember. One of them is hurt really badly and attends the funeral literally on a stretcher. On a litter, they say. But a week after the funeral, Winamine has Allie's slave collar removed. And it's like, no, there's no argument here. You shouldn't have been wearing it anyway, and it's ridiculous to have you still wearing it. So takes off the slave collar.
Everybody trusts you, so it's no longer necessary.
Yeah, pretty much. 8 days later, Rubenyan arrives for Bronau and then... Winamine is like, I gotta go tell him. So I can't just, call out.
Guess what? Your brother's dead, and so is your best friend. Congrats!
Yeah. But yes, so... after learning the deaths of both Bronau and Mekwin, Rubenyan tells Winamine and the girls to come with him back to the capital, to which she says no. And then she promises to come in the spring. She's like, once the winter's over, we'll go. But now it's just too much for us.
If nothing else, she knows that they have a duty to the people because...
Exactly. Over the winter.
The harvest is just coming in. And which, by the way, we didn't note it, but Mekwin was very hands-on with bringing in the harvest and helping distribute it to everybody. Yeah. Really, it was like, oh, he's a solid leader. Too bad.
Yeah, pretty much. Once Rubenyan leaves, George arrives, pretending to be a merchant looking to buy Allie as a slave. After outrage from the Balatangs, Allie is able to talk with him on the side about the entire ordeal. George is like, fucking hell, of course it's Kiprioth. Calls down Kiprioth and scolds him. And is like, you're not allowed to use my daughter as a pawn, basically. And he's like, I'm not doing anything. And then Allie's like, okay, but I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna see this through. Please, don't let mother kill you for learning. Just tell her that I just wouldn't come back. No. So she's like, I guess I'm gonna stay here. I want to see it out, see this whole thing out. And it's like, yeah, because you're just fucking playing for someone who's like, I'm not a pawn. Bitch, you're a pawn this entire... you're doing literally everything Kiprioth wants you to do.
It is it is fun to hold Kiprioth and Allie's relationship mirrored with Sarai and Bernau, because it's like... Well, I mean, while it's not romantic on the Kiprioth side, it is like a friend of your father who is, and you're, oh no, I am totally in control of this whole thing. And it's like, are you, kiddo?
Yeah. So yeah, that's the end, of that. So let's talk. Wow, this is a very long episode.
This is a very long book.
It is, yeah. But yeah, so what was our favorite character? The characters in this book are really good. We weren't able to go really into all of their characters because it's already an hour and 45 minutes, but it's fine. I'll cut a lot of it out. It's lots of silences. Truncate silence is there for a reason.
Yeah.
So...
I love a majority of the characters, honestly.
Yeah.
I love all of the Raka conspirators.
Yes.
And
Nawat.
I love Nawat so much, and Dove.
Yes.
And honestly, I adore the flamboyance of Kiprioth so much.
Kiprioth is amazing to me. He's my favorite god of the in the Tortall world. Okay, Graveyard Hag is very,
I was gonna say,
close. I think they're both good.
Yeah, they're both pretty good.
They're both good.
But yeah, no, whenever Kiprioth shows up in a human form that he chooses, not being in someone, but just he's this this handsome dark man with jewelry head to toe. The man is stunning. The man is decked out in bling. He is just beautiful, and Allie's just like, why? Why are you so big?
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, so honestly, characters are all great. Even the ones I don't like are great in the way they're written. So obviously Bronau is awful as a person, but the way he's written, it's just he's a good character in that way, that he's serving his purpose, and he's doing so in a very, I would say, a very it's not a shallow portrayal. I think that's something I really like about this book, is that she really goes into the characters. Yeah. The characters are pretty fleshed out and nuanced, I would say. Because we do see, Bronau as being, he has good qualities, and he's good in a lot of things, but also he's a piece of shit and a desperate man, and that's just what's going to happen. Because even when I'm thinking, who was my least favorite character in this book, I can't really think of one.
Not truly, no.
Because, Imogen and Rubinyan are, fucked up, but I don't, as characters, I think they're compelling characters.
Yeah.
But yeah. What's your favorite part of the book?
Well, I do love pretty much a majority of the Nawat Alley scenes.
They're really cute. Yeah.
I definitely realized during this that Fiancé Meister is actually a crow.
Oh, yeah.
Came to life as a human. So I guess that's got to be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just anything, yeah. I really liked the slapstick portion where they're being attacked by the Kudarang. Yeah. And every single time that we have with Dove and Allie just being together, I love them so much. Yes. And I know that's a lot of the next book, so...
Yay!
Okay.
The next book is gonna be called The Trickster's Queen!
Okay, the most important part of this. Let's do a couple fuck, marry, kills.
Oh, God.
Okay, so, Kiprioth. Oh, sorry, smash or pass.
Smash or pass, there we go.
Smash
I was like,
pass.
wait a second.
Kiprioth.
Smash. I mean, obviously.
Obviously. Fescow.
He's described as pretty handsome.
He is.
He seems pretty good looking, kind of grizzled, but not so much older. Yeah. I dig him. That's smash.
Smash. Chennel. Smash.
I respectfully pass because you do not smash that woman.
I'd let her smash me, though.
There you go.
Let's think. Bronau. Pass.
Pass. We've met enough Bronows in the world.
Yeah. Mequin. Pass.
I'm gonna pass.
Trying to think of other adults.
Right.
Because obviously the three main characters are all children. And I'm gonna count Nawat as a child as well.
Yes. He does say he's only a month old and that he's too young for Sarai because she's basically ancient compared to him.
It's okay, sure. Well, yeah, whatever.
It's I don't want to question this anymore. No. I'm just gonna... You're a crow. It's fine. You go crow.
Yeah. I can't think of really anyone else.
Yeah.
Ulasim. Pass.
Right. I don't know. Yeah, we don't really get a good description of him.
Junai. Smash.
Yeah, Smash, yeah.
She take care of you.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, that's that book. Anything else we want to say about it before?
I love it.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend reading it.
Yeah, it's definitely, like, despite the fact that this is such a long episode, we cut out so much. There's so much that goes on in this book that's just, like, you can't summarize it without cutting out some amazing moments. But we had to, because, you know, I can't
so much.
spend the whole
Guys,
time going, I'm not reading you the entire book.
We talked for so long.
I'm not reading you guys the entire book because of copyright.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was Trickster's Choice. As Ariana said, next time it'll be Trickster's Queen. Next year, I guess. Hopefully not.
Hopefully it'll be sooner than that.
I'm hopefully graduating this semester, so hooray. Then I'll have more time.
And I know I'm unemployed, so hey. What the hell else am I doing?
We'll have a great time. So, yeah. As a reminder, like, you guys can follow us on all of the places on YouTube and Spotify and iTunes, not Google Podcasts, because it doesn't exist anymore. You can find us on Twitch, which is Curlmeister Sisters, but don't subscribe to us and don't support us on Patreon. Go support Tamora Pierce.
Yeah.
Buy her books, and I think she still has a Patreon. I didn't
believe
look.
so.
So if you want to give us money, actually go give her money.
Yeah, do that instead.
So, yeah. As a reminder, I'm Risa.
And I'm Mariana. And I say this part. Keep on reading?
Yeah.
Yeah!